Welcome to the Spin Wiz Comic Show.
Whoa.
From Raleigh, North Carolina. Join us for exclusive interviews with the publishers bringing you the newest titles in indie comics, webcomics, movies, and more.
No way.
And now, here's your host, Jeff Palumbo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. It is wonderful to see everybody. I was off for the last week with a little bit of R&R with my family at the beach. And so we had a great time. I took a week off. You don't know anything different because if you're watching this on YouTube, technically you're just going through all of these amazing videos and it's all at the same time. But if you're here watching live on Facebook, then you know that you didn't see me last week. So I had to bring an all-star to this show this week just to be able to say, damn, you know, you were gone for a week, but you really came back strong. And it's true. Luckily, Kasey, who I'm having on the show tonight, was available. I heard that she saved a cat from a barn that was on fire. And then, I don't know, I think she jumped over a tank of like piranha on the way to helping somebody else at a hospital, like just all sorts of stuff. And she's like, yeah, I got time for the show still. So it's great that she's here. And I don't know why you don't need to talk to me. I mean, obviously you came for me to ask questions to her. As always, feel free to jump in with your comments, your questions, your concerns, your queries, and all those other great things. But in the meantime, I am going to bring Kasey in now. Ladies and gentlemen, the infamous Kasey Pierce from Source Point Press. How are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you? I love the backstory you wrote for me. You say you're not a writer.
Well, I'm not a writer, but I'm a pretty good bullshitter. So,
dude, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I have written, and you know, growing up, I did creative writing just for fun. And in college, usually after coming home from a night of, you know, a little bit of tipsy, I would write more. But I've only ever really published one issue of one title, which was mine. So I don't consider myself a writer. I consider myself more of a business person that tends to dabble or has the potential to be a writer. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has the potential to be a writer, and you definitely have that.
Well, you have more than the potential because you're crushing it with two titles that you have. So Kasey and I were speaking earlier, and it just so happened I told her the story of when. So Source Point Press is bringing all of their content to Spin Wiz Comics, which is amazing. We've got all sorts of stuff, and over the last week, you've seen Greg Wright, you've seen Bob Saley, you've seen Travis McIntyre. Frank Gogol was months ago, but we try to forget that ever happened. And
poor Frank.
I know. We always shit on Frank. It's because he likes Boston. It's because he likes Boston. That's the only real reason. I love Frank, and what a talented writer he is. But I knew that you had done NORAH, but I didn't know that you did SEERES. SEERES, excuse me. So when I was going through the meta file, I'm like, holy crap, like there's a lot of content that you've written. Plus, you were one of the originals at Source Point Press, and you're still like you do a chunk of their business stuff as well, yes?
Yeah, I was one of the three horsemen. It was me, David, and Greg in the old days. David Hayes and Greg Wright.
Yeah.
Of course, it started out even before Travis with art director Josh Werner and fellow founder, which was Trico Lutkins. And that's when I first knew Source Point, was when it was them. And then I had published a book called Pieces of Madness, which was under a different label. And that had gained like a subterranean following. And Travis had just taken over as editor-in-chief of Source Point Press when I was selling out of this book at Comic-Cons. And he said, I need you to write me a comic. Now, this was a prose horror that I was writing. I was like, oh, I don't write comics. It's not what I do. I write novels. It was just, 5 shitty short stories. It gained a small following because I didn't grow up reading horror writers. I grew up reading sci-fi authors. So everything that I wrote that was horror was more based on the human condition. and the uncanny and what really scares me. But at the time, I had the honor and privilege of knowing the late, great Gary Reed.
Wow.
And I had a chance to peek at a Dead World script. And I thought to myself, well, this is kind of like a movie to me. So that's why NORAH issue 1 of the first volume is such a slow burn, because to me, it was like the first 10 minutes of a film. So I wrote it cinematically, and that's how I started writing my comic scripts.
That's awesome. So we have 4 issues of NORAH right now on SpinWiz, but we'll have all of them in a couple days.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
So I'm gonna drop a link in for everybody right now. I had it up and then I deleted it. Wait a minute. For at least to get NORAH on here. So everybody needs to go read it, because right now most of it is free to read. And if you like what Kasey's putting out there, which I'm sure you will, because the content is just keeps on coming, then buy it. But buy that PDF, and then hopefully we'll have print on demand in the near future too. Or go to SourcePoint Press and order the print. That's what I'm telling everybody, and you should support local. Support all these local people. I call them local, but local non-Marvel DC people to make that cash, because they're creating amazing content.
You're working class indie folks.
That's what I'm saying. Like most of us now, obviously you have a full-time job with SourcePoint Press and you write for them, so you kind of have 2 jobs, right? Or do you have multiple?
I don't work for the company.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No, I'm contracted.
Oh, okay.
One would think that I did, because I pushed the company catalog.
Yeah.
And so in the early days too, it was about, together we rise. If the company makes it, we make it. So I took it on myself to become sort of a brand ambassador, and so did Greg and David, just to be sure that this company had a strong foundation. And
it does, and you can tell, because SourcePoint is taking off. I mean, I can't say taking off as if it's new to take off. It's been crazy for the last 2 or 3 years.
It's only been 5 years, really. Yeah. I'm going on 6 years with the company. And everyone after us, we've got some great grinders, sort of followed the business model that we had set, that put emphasis on the creator meeting experience and genuinely engaging with your audience. And as Travis would put it, you don't need thousands of people buying your work. You need the right 500 to follow you. And that still reigns true, especially, that we've gone all digital, on social media and whatnot. So that's why I've been doing a slew of shows, which I'm so honored to be on your show, because that's where my strength is in direct sales. And this is the only way right now during COVID that I know to reach people face to face.
Yeah. So let's talk about that real quick, and then we'll get back to your content, because I don't want to move away too far from your content, because I really want people to read both NORAH and SEERES when it comes out on SpinWiz, or if you go to SourcePoint. But what are you doing now? Because of COVID, everybody is kind of shifting, pivoting, especially without conventions. It is really throwing indie people into a mix. And what I normally find, and this is going to potentially sound negative, but it is not meant to be. My background is business. You are obviously business minded, as well as Travis is. We had that conversation 3 weeks ago when he was on the show. And a lot of independent folk follow what Marvel and DC have put out there, and then what Image, Boom, Valiant have. Holy cow, there's a cat just literally leaped up behind you.
My cat is being a total
No,
jerk
it was
right now.
awesome. It was like a horror comic. It's just something that's like,
let me chase him out of the room real quick.
You don't have, I have a dog behind me. That was awesome.
I apologize for that. My cat likes to whine that he wants to go outside, and he was sleeping up until this point. Of course.
There is no apology needed. This is 2020, and
right.
And like I have a puppy. Where is she? Like she's I don't know if you can see her or not, but she's kind of passed out on the ground.
Oh no, I can't see her. All I can see is the logo.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she's passed out on the ground. She's kind of like, hi, and so she's just listening to the show. But trust me, she could be up in a second and be whining at the door and scratching at it. But anyway, as we were saying, a lot of indie people seem to follow a path that Marvel and DC have laid out, and that some of the bigger guys like Image and Boom and Valiant, Dark Horse have been able to sort of copycat from a template perspective that indies, in my opinion, should not be taken.
Yeah.
It is specifically designed for massive distribution. It is specifically designed for having tons and tons and tons of content and promoting tons and tons and tons of content. Marvel and DC obviously have, 70 years of branding behind them, where these guys starting with like a year or two, Marvel, DC obviously cranking out some content once every month, if not more, depending on what title it is. And it's just in my opinion, independent creators could be doing much better if they followed the approach that I am trying to take, which is get a bigger user base and penetrate the market, and then, like you said, get the right 500 people on the bus.
Yes.
Instead of trying to, squeeze every little ounce out of a digital or a print copy, hoping that you can, where really what you should be doing is working to grow your audience and then taking that audience with you on the next trip, and then growing that audience from there. And again, so it grows from a penetration or a grassroots strategy. You are talking to independent people like that right now, correct? Like, what is your whole thing that you're really helping people with?
Direct sales, and also how to sell yourself as a brand, and how to sell a script, and how to summarize. Summarizing is a big deal. And brand comparison, basically how to sell your story, and asking yourself the honest question, is it marketable? It could be a great story to you, but is that what people want right now? Are you able to tell us who it is marketed towards? And, some precious creators, you'll hear them say, well, it can't really be summed up, yes, it can. And
it should be. If you can't in an elevator pitch, you already lost.
Right. And it's not like any other brand you've ever seen. Yes, it is. But they have to realize that these things aren't insults or cheapening your product. It's actually helping you, and it's helping you connect with people too, because we have to think of the resurgence of indie comics started more recently in 2014, 2015. And that's when you saw the demographic changing, and people were sick of rehashes. They were sick of what you just said, which was the volume over quality. And in the rise of superhero movies, of course they'll go see the movies, but then they're tired of seeing that in print because now it's everywhere.
Yep.
So capes took a back seat in the market, and we saw the resurgence of sci-fi and horror, and these fans were hungry for not only original stories, but really the main difference between indie comic fans and mainstream comic fans is that indie comic fans feel like they're part of the action, they're part of the journey, because they are.
Yep.
And we make it a point to make that connection with them, because without them, there's no us. And that's what I'm really looking forward to when we do come back next year to possibly Comic-Cons, because for one thing, it cuts away all the fat. Yep. We were really spread thin in this oversaturation of Comic-Cons, and you're going to see the smaller guys, the church basement dudes, fall away and sort of reestablish what is a Comic-Con. What was it originally? Well, it was where people, of course now, it's everyone, every fandom, every race, every age, families, it's great. But what you're going to see is they're going to flock back to the Comic-Cons for the creator meeting experience, what they originally flocked to them back in the 80s for. And that's what we've tried to build and reestablish back in 2014, 2015 and on, riding the resurgence of indie comics.
Yep. And I think, and you can agree or disagree, but I feel like in the past, I'd say really in the past 3 years, it has become extremely apparent that a lot of these cons are just trying to buffer their sales and the amount of money coming in by the quantity of merchandise.
Yeah.
And they're forgetting about the fact that people are coming for really cool, unique meetings with people that they may, now granted, maybe they do want to meet somebody from Marvel or DC, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I think they're missing out on, and the biggest draw, is the fact that Source Point Press, you can actually go and meet the person who is like you have NORAH in front of you, and you can meet the person. And again, you're like, I met Kasey Pierce at C2E2. She signed this. Now you have a fan that is most likely, not only, even if they can't buy your next Kickstarter or your next book that comes out, you can guarantee when you tweet it out, they're going to share it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they become a sort of a part of the family. But even like if a con promoter does bring in these Marvel creators, depending on the demographic, because you look at the Big Bang Theory, the best and worst thing to happen to Comic-Con, you see those tables empty too, because it's all hyped on the celebrities. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm kind of sick of the merch swamp.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love the original stuff. The stuff that you can't get off Amazon, I think is great, because those creators are just as creative as comic book people. They just do it in a different way. But the stuff that I can order off of Amazon or whatever.
Yeah, styling online. Yeah.
I'm just like, I get why they're doing it, but I think it detracts. I think they would gain more people if they had focus on why it's a Comic-Con.
Oh, absolutely. Because they are going based on the assumption that people only are just stuff enthusiasts. Well, they don't realize that they're actually guiding the market, that people are there to discover what's cool. And if you tell them a t-shirt is cool, then they want to be a part of what's cool. Of course they're going to buy a t-shirt, you know? But if you put a comic in their hand and say, you know, I wrote this and I think this is cool, and I'm going to tell you why, that makes all the difference in the world. Yeah. So actually con promotion, there are so many great con promoters that I love dearly, like family, and you know who you are. Other ones, it's become a real sleazebag kind of deal. And, like I said, they're going just, whatever sells, and people just want stuff. And so we're going to ride that out, and we're just going to become a media expo.
Yeah.
And it really takes away from the big picture.
Yep. And I've had a lot of people, again, having been in the video game industry for over a decade, I understand the con space for both video games. The indie video game stuff and the indie comic stuff work almost hand in hand. It's almost identical.
I believe it.
But what people are coming to me now for is, especially because they start to see some of our advertising, is they're like, oh, we got this con, you should give us $2,000 and we'll put your name on something. I'm like, dude, you are barking up the wrong tree, talking to the wrong dude, because I am going to chew you up and spit you out, because that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Yeah. Like, your ROI sucks. You don't understand how to brand it properly. It's just a list of stuff. And instead of saying all these things, because I don't want to come off negative, I want to help if I can for these good promoters. But I know from the first sentence what they want.
Right.
And usually it's the ones like, hey, we're starting this con, or we have this con. We love your work. What would you like to participate in this con? And I know that the next question is, do you have any money? Is there a way you could, be a bronze sponsor or a silver sponsor or whatever? But they came to me asking what I would like to get out of it first, instead of, hey, I saw you were advertising, we have these great packages available. Massive difference in somebody who understands what specifically Source Point Press is trying to do, and what I'm trying to do, and what these people who are just trying to push sales on, and people aren't buying it. They don't want to be part of that. They want to be part of in my opinion, they want to be part of a culture that they feel like they're on the ground floor of. And that they can reach out and shake somebody's hand and say, I knew them when NORAH blows up and you got your own movie and all this stuff. you're not going to be like, you're too small for me, and be like, yeah, that's great. I'm awesome that I may not remember you from 10 years ago at C2E2, but that's awesome. And I appreciate your support, and you can always say hello. That's the kind of people that we need back.
Right. It's not the Funkos that are the exclusives. It's the fans.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I feel like I took over that conversation. I apologize to everybody.
No, we're just talking.
Well, I'm glad at least we agree on that.
Yeah, absolutely. You speak in my language.
Well, good. I mean, that's nice. And I would also say that it is really great that you're not in some odd dungeon like Travis was either.
Oh gosh, I was like, are you making a snuff film? What the hell's going on?
I didn't have to say anything because Frank
was like in the
and Bob came in and just destroyed him, and Travis's wife was in chat too, not even defending him, like completely 100% behind them.
I was ready for him to do the what's his name from Baywatch?
Hasselhoff?
Yeah, like he started eating a cheeseburger like on the floor. What? Hard time. Yeah, COVID, man, hard times.
Hey, you gotta get what you can. I understand.
That's our fearless leader.
Yeah. So let's talk about you as a writer. When did you start writing? Because I know you went into it briefly, but when did you really kind of jump in and say, I want to be a writer? Or is that not really what you see yourself as?
It's funny. So I tell this story all the time that one day, this was after a very, very, we'll say it was toxic relationship. I woke up in my apartment on a pull-out couch, surrounded in fast food bags, cigarette tray just overflowing, and the screen on the TV blinking saying that I didn't pay the cable bill. And it was like at a really low point in my life. And I was really messed up. And I remember waking up that morning and just taking a look at everything. And I was like, why am I repeating the same patterns? And I'm winding up here. And my deduction was that I was living my life for other people. And I went to several schools because I didn't know what I wanted to do. When actually I did know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a writer. And people kept telling me it wasn't practical. But that was the day I decided that I was going to make myself happy and not everybody else. So I woke up that morning, ripped up my cigarettes, and cleaned up the apartment and said, you know what? I am going to become a writer. And I became part of the Comic-Con culture by becoming a blogger. And that's where Cosmic Kasey comes from, because I was a persona. Wow. And I was writing snarky commentary on the con scene. And I was interviewing artists and writers, indies. And I had big Elvira hair, fishnets and sneakers, and I would hand out glow sticks to the kids, and I would cosplay, and that's what I did. And that's how Travis came to know me, because I reviewed his first comic, Up the River. Mm-hmm. It was a prototype of Up the River, and he sent it to me in the mail with a really nice note saying, "Thank you so much, Cosmic Kasey, for reviewing my comic. I hope you enjoy it." Da 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 da. And then later on, I was blogging a chapter a month of a fiction. I was just kind of dabbling of what would later become NORAH, and it was called The Prophecy Effect. And Tony Maiello of Rocket Egg Studios. Oh yeah. He had become he was a good friend of mine, and I became a follower and a reader of that blog. And he said, "I think you can write horror." I go, "Well, I don't write fiction. It's really not what I do. I'm a blogger." And he's like, "Well, write me a story." I wrote him a 4-page story, and that wound up being Dollface in the first release of Pieces of Madness, which is the prose horror. Yeah. And then later on, when I'm selling out of it at Comic-Cons and gaining this subterranean following, which I appreciate so much because these people are still with me to this day, and I love them to death. That's when Travis approached me when he took over as editor-in-chief of Source Point. So it was all coming full circle. And I told him I don't write comics. It's not what I do. He made me write a comic. And, the rest is history. Yeah. And
now you're crushing it.
Yeah. I'd like to think that I am. This has been a really long break. And even recently, I was talking to Greg, because it's been a little depressing because we appreciate the break so much. Because 6 years is a long run to be at almost 22 to 23 shows a year. Mm-hmm. And now we're well, that was what we were good at. And now we really got to get creative.
Yeah.
But,
well, I hope Travis brings me in for that. Just for brainstorming. Be like, let's bring Jeff in and see what he sees from outside, right? From a distribution, and somebody that my whole job is engagement strategy and marketing.
Dude, I'm all about it, whatever you want to do, because I am misdirect sales. That's how I operate.
Well, you guys let me know and we'll powwow.
All right. That sounds like fun. Thank you.
If you can actually lock Travis and Josh down for longer than 15 minutes.
I can lock Travis down, maybe. Josh, no way.
The man is like mist.
He's the engine. He is the engine of SourcePoint.
He is the engine that doesn't damn stop. I don't know if he has swapped out blood for Monster Energy drinks or what.
Yes, he has. Check
he
his
is
pulse.
Just at C2E2 when it's the first time he and I had spoken multiple times, but it's the first time he and I had actually met. So you and I had met at San Diego Comic-Con, and then we met briefly again I got the hell out of there because you guys were selling like crazy. So I'm like, hi, nice to see you again, bye. Like it was just it. But Josh and Frank I had met obviously a couple times. But let me see. It was Josh is the first time that I could like tag him into one spot. Because we would always miss each other. I had no idea, like getting a hold of him and stuff like that. So I finally got a chance to like hold his hand, not like hold his hand like in skipping and stuff, like shake his hand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You're Josh." He's like, "That's what they tell me. I don't know who I am today." Like,
no.
And he was flipping between all three tables, like just rotating. He's a machine, an absolute machine, and luckily, David Hayes and I had known each other from a little bit, and he's like, "You'll never get to talk to him." Like,
no,
I work with him, and I don't hardly talk to him, or I can't lock him down for. And I had them both as part of. We did a live viewing of their crazy rabbit that was very mad.
Rotten Tail.
Yeah, we did a live viewing of Rotten Tail on Twitch.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I promoted that.
Yes, thank you. It was not taken down, amazingly enough, even though there was some things on that definitely were against Twitter or Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
Twitch guidelines. Woo! So, I moved to Facebook anyway. It's fine. So, yeah, and I think that's great. Hey, Bobby. So, yes, I'd be happy to help. Just let me know. Set up time. We'll check calendars. We'll go from there. But let's talk more about NORAH because I want people to know and read it. I've already linked it in chat. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, just look down below. Just scroll, and it's right. Yes, it's right there. There's a link that goes right to all Kasey's stuff. And if you can't find it, we will also drop the link to SourcePoint Press's print sales. That are on their site that you can actually get directly from them. So you'll have both. So you'll be able to read it, love it, buy it. That's all we ask. But tell me more about NORAH. So for people that are just jumping in and just wanting to kind of talk about it, what is your elevator pitch for this? And then we'll get into SEERES.
So NORAH is like an X-Files meets Starship Troopers. It's about a woman who can delve into the mind's eye and retrieve you from or help you cross over during a coma. And she obtained this ability while working in pathogenic development for the CIA, creating bioweapons for means of biological warfare. And it's all hand-painted. The first volume by Sean Seal, which you can order on sourcepoint.press. And then volume 2 is illustrated, or painted rather, by Kelly O'Hara. And those issues are trickling through Diamond or into stores right now, so you can add all 4 issues of volume 2 to your pull list right now.
See, go do it. That's perfect. And what about SEERES?
So SEERES is Norse mythology meets the craft in the style of heavy metal. They're sexy, gory Viking witch fables, and they're all one-shots. That's illustrated by Jay Jaycott. If you follow him, he's absolutely amazing. In fact, we were both up for the Gary Reed Indie Creator of the Year Award.
Oh, damn.
Stiff competition. He's amazing. I mean, the man's a chameleon. He's a workhorse, and he does everything with a smile on his face. And he made SEERES look fantastic. And they're really fun. It's my Mary Sue Sex and Violence series, and it was really big in Europe, and I'm so proud of that.
So for not being a comic writer, you're a pretty big comic writer.
That's what they tell me, as Josh would say.
Yeah. So you're on issue 2 right now of NORAH, or are you on issue 3? Volume 2.
We're on volume 2.
Right.
So we are, the second issue is going to be in stores next month.
Okay.
Or actually, no, that might be in stores now, and then next month will be issue 3, and then issue 4, and then we will solicit the trade.
Okay. And does SourcePoint do any kickstarting and stuff like that, or is it just straight up like push it through the distribution channels and make it happen?
We try to push it through distribution. There was talk of a NORAH omnibus.
Yeah.
I don't know. We might still do that. I'm not sure. I try to avoid Kickstarter like the plague, but if somebody else is running it for me, sure.
Yeah, well, the reason people have heard this before, but the reason SpinWiz in its current form started was because my Kickstarter for Chimera failed.
Oh.
So I figured, is with all my marketing and business background, if I failed, then other people must be having a hell of a time because I have a leg up. And
it's so hard. It's because you have
crazy.
to, especially if you have a day job, because you have to mind it. You know, it's like minding crops.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a Tamagotchi.
Yeah, yeah. It's so hard to take care of.
Yeah, I hate it, and it poops all the time, and it doesn't want to eat. And I mean, I crushed my Tamagotchi with a hammer. I'm just like, I hope that I'm a good parent because this sucked. It's just
kids. Tamagotchis were digital pets that you could have on a keychain.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that I'm super old.
Shh! Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, that's my bad. Yeah, forgot about that. Bobby knows. Bobby's in chat. He knows. He and I are almost the same age. So what is next for you? Like with whether it be COVID related or not, you know, what's next for Kasey Pierce?
All right. What's next for me is illustrated by J.J. Cott and edited by David Hayes.
Oh my.
Is a paranormal space opera about Alzheimer's called The Other People Who Live Here.
That's awesome. When is this happening, and when can I get my hands on it?
It is set to solicit next September. I'm hoping for sooner, but this is a long series, and I never like to say magnum opus because that sort of implies that it'll be your last thing. But if this is the last book I ever put out, I would be very happy.
Damn, it is obviously, if you're bringing those guys in, it's still a graphic novel.
It's going to be single issues at first.
Okay.
Because we find that that's the best way marketing wise to gain readers.
Oh,
because
for sure.
this is all rooted in B science fiction, very vintage 50s and 60s sci-fi. So it's on the B films that I grew up watching with my dad, and you're going to see a lot of nods to things that are public domain now. I went on a mad hunt, including like The Killer Shrews, Captain Zero,
Damn.
Different things like that. There's even nods to Metropolis, Attack of the Crab Monsters, and this was a really fun way to tell the caretaker's story of somebody taking care of someone with Alzheimer's.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So are you saying that it's September 2021?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to wait a whole year?
I know. I don't want to either. I wish this book was done yesterday, but you know, it took time to find the right people because I wanted to get it right on the first swing. You know, I wanted to hit that home run, and I needed to bring David Hayes in.
The dude is I don't know how he keeps that much information in his brain.
You know, he was my biggest mentor from the very start, and now I go to his college.
Oh, really?
I do.
Have you taken his class?
I'm taking a class that he wrote starting tomorrow. Tomorrow the semester starts.
Oh, okay.
It's communication in a shrinking world, and I'm getting my business bachelor's.
Good for you.
Thank you. I got a year and a half to go.
I would want to take it just because I want to heckle him in the back of the room.
I think he wishes that I was on campus, but his college is an hour away, so I'm doing everything online.
But
But maybe
online's
just
awesome.
for grins, I'll take the last semester in person, and hopefully he'll be teaching that class.
Or at least
He wants me to replace him as the dean of faculty.
Whoa.
Yeah, he said I need you to get like a PhD in this, so you can be my replacement, so I can go somewhere and die.
In typical B-roll style, of course.
You're right, and he is also up for a Gary Reed Award this year as well.
Really?
So I'm up against him, JJ Cott, and the great Corinne Roberts.
Oh my gosh,
I
what a
love
crew.
her work. All source pointers.
Holy crap. Man, maybe I need to pitch Chimera over to SourcePoint and let them be like, hey, all right, let's get this done.
Who edited it?
Me.
Would you like a second pair of eyes on that? Because I run an editing company as well.
Good Lord.
I run Red Pen Media.
Oh my gosh. Kasey, what? All right, here's my next question. What else do you do?
I am also, let's see, I run Red Pen Media. I'm a flagship creator for SourcePoint Press.
Yeah?
I'm also a meditation instructor. I've been a massage therapist for 9 years. And I am soon to become a coach in Stoicism.
Oh my God, where do you find time for all this stuff?
I
I understand
know.
COVID, but that doesn't mean you have any more time.
You know, it's funny, the Stoicism thing started with Donald Robertson, who is a famous cognitive behavioral therapist who just wrote the best-selling book, How to Think Like a Roman Emperor. And I loved the book so much, I followed him on Instagram and saw he had a graphic novel coming out based on the life of Marcus Aurelius.
Oh my gosh.
I reached out to him and just told him how much I loved the book. And I said, you know, I saw, like, what are you doing in my waters? I saw you got a comic coming out. I would love to give you free proofreading services. And he actually brought me in for some content editing. So I'm very, very proud to have anything to do with that book. That's really, really cool. So yeah, Red Pen Media, you can find us on Facebook. And that company was bestowed upon me by David Hayes, who originally started it, but he has no time for it. So I became lead editor, if you will.
Holy crap. All right, can you make sure that you send that to me, the link, so I can put it in the YouTube?
Sure, it's facebook.com/redpenmedia1, numeral 1.
All right, 1 second. I'm going to do that right now. So
sure.
Just so facebook.com/redpenmedia1.
Yeah, I do a lot of work for Ryan Cummins, Skeletal Press.
Yeah,
and Hasm Productions as well. I do a lot of their stuff.
Ryan will be on the show shortly too.
Yeah, he's got Big Jack. I edited that.
Oh, good. That's awesome.
Big Jack.
All right, let me drop this in here too. You are busy. Good Lord. Bobby says she's my hero. I feel like such a slacker hearing all of that.
Oh, Bobby, thank you so much. And you are not a slacker, trust me. I've hit a production slump this past week. I'm just, how you have a lot to do and you just kind of stand there and do nothing. Mm-hmm. Just crippled by what you have to do. That's,
paralysis analysis.
Right,
analysis paralysis, I guess.
That's where my stoicism should come in, but.
Well, I have a problem in that, I work a regular day job, and then I want to spend time with my wife and my son, and then I put them to bed, and then I work on Spinwiz. So
you got to get rid of the family. That's first and foremost.
And amazingly enough, I do both of the other jobs for them. So
yeah.
It, and I love them both to death, obviously, but I would love to start writing again. I have 4 comics that I've outlined, 2 or 3 beyond Chimera, and I literally just cannot creatively, with as much as I'm doing, trying to help, as we talked about, you and I talked about briefly earlier, is try to grow that 25% of the market value or the market share, not take over Marvel and DC, screw that, just grow what we already have. That I'm just drained. I can't even start thinking about it. And I really enjoy it, but I really enjoy seeing more people hit SourcePoint Press content and talk about it through me and seeing other people like Skeletal Press or like Vulture or like Valen, Joe Valen or any of these guys have one title, and seeing people be like, oh, I'm reading it. And I see them on Google Analytics and I see their numbers going up. And to me, that is even if it's 1 from 10, that means 10 more people just read your comic.
Yeah, it's very satisfying feeling.
It is my new joy. But you have to take it incrementally. I think going back to what we originally talked about is Source Point, the first couple of years of any company is rocky. For sure. It takes a lot. And my partner and I are running this, and we just launched the app last week, our mobile app. And then we have print on demand coming next week.
I did see your mobile app. Congratulations with that.
Thank you. Yeah. But it's just now starting to, like, those are the things we needed in place to really start pushing hard. And with all the pre-orders that we're going to start doing for all of our content creators, and all the print on demand and all of the featured content, exclusive content, we think that we're going to do a lot of really cool stuff. And we are so happy and so blessed to have SourcePoint with us and having our back at literally every turn.
Well, likewise, we appreciate you. We really, really do.
Well, you guys have been awesome. Obviously, I don't talk to anybody at that booth much at any con because you guys are so swamped. Like, people are just coming up nonstop. I've never seen anything like it at a con before, where you have people 2 or 3 deep per creator. So you have yours. Frank has his. I remember who was there. Freddie was there for Skyline at San Diego Comic-Con, and you had other people swapping out, and there were 2 or 3 people deep just waiting to look at it, or they had seen, NORAH #2, or they had gotten it. They were looking. At that point, you were pitching the trade paperback.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, it just was amazing because I would sit back and listen to you and Frank specifically because you were there the most. And I didn't want to bother anybody, but just people would come up and not say, what are you talking about? They'd come up and be like, oh, I saw this on your Twitter, or, oh, I read #1, or I've been reading little snippets here and there, or I've been seeing it and I wanted to meet you.
That's so wonderful.
Very rarely did I hear them. It's crazy. It's great to know that your content, they're coming to see you and, all the rest of the SourcePoint Press crew, and buying the content is just as if they're opening a door. They already know they're going to buy the content. The goal for them is the fact they actually get to meet the creator behind it. And that is awesome.
Because we're genuine. There's nothing fake. There really isn't. I mean, there's no reason to be. Sometimes you'll be tired at a con and you have to fake the energy, but we generally just appreciate each and every person and each and every content. Like, wow, like I said, it never ever gets old. And like somebody saying, I saw this online, and or even if we share a piece of us, personally, that's part of our brand online, like, whether it comes to like, personal struggles or anything. Like, I have one fan who gifted me essential oils to help with my MS because she connected, with my story, and that meant a lot to me. And so now she's also an avid reader, so when I say genuine connections, I mean, these people are family.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. And can we, if you would like, you just said you have MS.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that is multiple sclerosis?
Yes.
Okay. So my father has that.
Okay.
All right, you just opened up a really big door, because it's obviously something that indirectly affects me as being a family member of a parent that has it. But are you, all right, how do I say this? Do you find that some of your writing is sourced by some of the trials and tribulations that you're taking with something like MS?
Yes.
I guess that wasn't as hard of a question, or as hard of an answer, I suppose.
No, because you see, there's a lot of neuroscience that happens in NORAH, and that came from my fascination with the nervous system, because I was one of those people that you can't tell me that you don't know why I have what I have. I'm going to educate myself. And I talk about this. If you follow me on Medium, I'm blogging again, and I talk about that story that led to my diagnosis. But yeah, NORAH came out of that because I combined my love of, neuroscience and metaphysics, and then, my love of NPR with the CIA thing, and that's how NORAH came about. But yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny because Travis, I remember, because the Source Point guys, if there's a show local, they'll all stay here, they'll air mattress it. And he was talking to myself and Garrett, and he said, like, I know what to expect from each of you, even though you may not know it. Like, Kasey, I always know that it will always somehow underlyingly have something to do with how the brain works, because she has MS. And I'm like, yeah, like all the sci-fi that I put out has something to do with the brain, even my Alzheimer's piece, So, but yeah, so yes, it does directly affect whether we realize it or not.
Okay, well, going back to cons, how the hell do you stand for 10 hours at a time? Because cons are rough. Even when you are perfectly healthy, standing on cement and being on, we'll just call it on because you know what that means. For those of you that don't know, if you've never been to a con, you have to be pleasant and open and friendly.
You're selling a brand. Yeah.
At all times. And 10 hours at a stretch for usually 3 or 4 days in a row. By the third or fourth day, you are shot.
Yeah. And again, that's where stoicism comes in. But, I try not to lean into the feeling, because you can exacerbate your own symptoms by really, like I said, leaning into it. And I rested when I needed to. But I remember at C2E2 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? Yeah. Travis even said, Kasey, stay home. And I didn't want to. I was having a really bad flare-up. I was having one of the worst. I felt like, I don't know if you've ever been in a car accident, but I felt like I had airbag burn all over my entire body. Like, I kept blowing on my limbs because I felt like there was fire all over me. And like, I had 3rd-degree burns, but they weren't there. That was when Twisted came. And, I think what really helped me through all that stuff is my Source Point family, because we are a family and they just sort of distract me from it. It doesn't matter if I'm feeling sick, at least I'm at home.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. I greatly appreciate it. I see what my father is going through, because he's in what we can only assume is late phases or final phases.
Oh, okay. He's got aggressive, yeah.
Well,
thankfully, I have relapse remit, so yeah.
Okay.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah, he's had it for 30 years now, and they didn't find it until. No, he's had it for 40 years. They didn't have a way to find it, so they found it when I was a junior in college. They found it, and he's like, I just thought he was very ornery. And it turns out he has MS. So I really can't hold him accountable for being grumpy for tons of years when he didn't know that his body was literally shutting down.
Wow.
So I give you a ton of credit to continually do what you do and continually be kind and uplifting to everybody that you see at all points in time, because I would never be able to tell.
Oh, well, yeah. I have so much to be grateful for, that my problems are just temporary situations.
That's an awesome way to think about it.
Yeah, everything is impermanent, no matter if we're healthy or if we're sick. So we need to treat life the same way.
No wonder David Hayes wants you to take over for him.
He's very impermanent right now. I can just touch him and he turned into dust. Just. Yeah,
well, not before you get him into another Not until you get him into a live screening of NORAH, and that he's playing one of the characters. And I know he dresses in drag with his sister's old dresses and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, didn't he accidentally crap on a prom dress?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I think in Deep Woods, I think he wore his sister's old prom dress or something.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was, and he accidentally crapped on it.
Yeah,
and
I mean, we need to bring that back.
That's a great story. I love David's stories. David is. I'm so glad that I have the ability to shut up and listen, because he was with me in those early days, almost every show, and we became a dynamic duo. Like, and the Rot and NORAH sell really well together, and they share the same characters. My dad is featured in both.
Really?
Yeah, he's the general.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm. Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So, and we shared artists, so it became the Steel Universe. So my dad is going to live forever.
How awesome is that?
My dad was in the military, so we just made him General Brand.
Great.
Yep.
How awesome is that? See, you learn something new every time I do one of these things.
This is a lot of fun.
That's great. Well, listen, I have kept you, I warned you that the average is 50 minutes, and we've gone for 51.
Darn.
No, I mean, that's good.
We might as well go to an hour.
I mean, do you have more to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay, what else do you want to talk about?
Let's see. I don't know. I thought maybe you had more questions. I know there's a lot I could talk about, but no, I think we covered everything, and we didn't talk about what it's going to be like coming back.
Let's talk about what you think is all right. Good. Let's talk about that briefly. What do you think coming back into the world post-COVID is going to look like for
comics?
I'd say for indie comics, and then the differentiation between digital and print.
I think that we are going to see a rise in print, because we are going to have to see a rise in. What I hope will happen is store signings, the one-dayers. And me, Greg, and David, we have a book coming out called Visiting Hours, and it's about a haunted hospital. And we had talked about doing a bookstore string tour, just scheduling it for early next year or late this year, masks up, pens up. And I really feel like it's going to bring people back to comic shop. The power is finally going to be back in the hands of the retailers and the fans. And it's going to, I don't think we're going to see another Comic-Con until at least, I'm hoping March. I really am. And I know that's being really hopeful, but even so, I think I didn't want COVID to happen, not COVID, but something like this needed to happen to thin out the market a little bit, because like I said, we were so oversaturated, spread so thin. Now, if we can get the power back into the hands of the fans, back into the hands of the retailers, and have the big cons, and the genuine promoters who have everyone's best interest at heart, and are very passionate about what they do, they will come back, and it's going to be a lot better. I think we can only come back stronger, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
When we do come back, maybe it'll be delayed, maybe it won't be until next June, who knows? But when we do, I can guarantee you it's going to be so much better.
I agree with you. And not to change the subject, but Devin Forther came in and says that you need to talk about making smoked meats.
Oh yeah, so I'm running a little side gig right now.
One
I got
of 30?
Yes. So I am going to be selling beef jerky and trail mix. No MSGs either. And I created an LLC called Earthbound Trail Mix and Jerky.
All right. I get how some of the things overlap. I understand, like, anything even related to David Hayes and around that I get. But then massage therapy, stoicism, Or is it stoicism, or did I just
Yes.
make up a word like Trump?
No, that's it.
Okay. And then trail mix and beef jerky.
Yes.
Like, I see a little bit, couple outliers here and there. Where the hell did you
overall, I'm a very crunchy person.
Oh, you're crunchy? My wife likes to be like, she says that she would have been crunchy, but she likes all the very health, like essential oils.
Yep.
And all that great stuff. And I'm like, whatever. But she's right. Like CBD, stuff like that. Very earthy, like does all this really cool stuff. But
I meditate in a pyramid, so I know exactly.
She meditates as well. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we're on the same wavelength. So like whether it be from my beliefs, from my science fiction, my writing, to even my snacks, everything is crunchy. I am crunchy.
Wow. So really, it's not so far removed. It's actually, your writing is probably farther removed than your persona of crunchiness.
Yeah, I mean, you can see some undertones in there if you pay close attention, but yeah.
Damn. So Devin said, "See, I told you."
I love Devin. Devin makes the best cupcakes.
I have yet to meet Devin. I don't.
What? The pack mule for Source Point?
I have never met Devin.
I say that, but I only say it because he said that one time, and I find that hilarious. But without Devin,
maybe I have met Devin actually. No.
He sets up the big our big setups, the steel pipes and all that.
Yeah.
Dude, he's the man when it comes to that, and he's so hardworking, and he makes us look good. That's what he's there for.
Devin, we didn't meet at C2E2, did we? Because that was the first mega booth.
He's a very tall, Viking-sized fellow.
Bigger than Garrett? Garrett's pretty big.
Yeah, they're about the same. Devin likes to sit. Devin's not a salesperson.
Devin, were you sitting with Chris by chance?
He probably was. Chris Tadlock?
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably was.
Okay, so we actually did meet then.
He strokes his beard a lot.
Yeah.
He's always going like this.
So Devin and I did meet because Chris and I were hanging out at his booth, and Devin was right to the right of him.
Yeah,
he
sits like this, and he goes.
Yeah, so we actually did meet. Nice to see you again, Devin. Thanks for coming in, man. Bobby says, "Give me a deal on a bulk order. I'm ready." He wants the beef jerky and.
All right, you want the beef jerky. You want the Viking witch tails,
and the trail mix.
Yeah, the maple trail mix.
Are you gonna put together like a humble bundle of?
A humble bundle, I love it.
Of like Kasey Pierce, like the Kasey
I'm
Kasey
trying
Pierce.
Not to make worlds collide because I don't want to mass distribute the jerky because it's very expensive. So people I know, like they want to hit me up for it, sure. But it's gonna be like a once a month thing and made to order.
But you could have like your COVID survival box. And it has NORAH in it. It has SEERES. It has some beef jerky. It has a meditation tape or a CD in there. Do people still do CDs?
No, but I'm about to record some meditation tracks with my nephew, who's a producer. So
all right, like drop the old thumb drive in there, and it can be like, hey.
It'll be me whispering in your ear, going, "Sail away, sail away, sail away." Humming some Enya.
Wow. See? He calls it the Tummy Rumble Bundle.
Oh, there you go.
So, I mean, I can't do any of that at all. So, I mean, usually I would say that indie creators have a day job and then they have indie creation. Mm-hmm. You have a plethora of stuff that you have going on.
Yeah.
How the hell do you keep it all straight?
Sometimes it's a curse because it's like I just want to do all the things, and then I get overwhelmed, and I'm like, oh my god! Like I said this past week, I'm just like, pride. But I think we do that to ourselves. It's never as serious as we make it out to. It's like Seneca says, it's imaginary most of the time.
Yeah, I have to tell myself, or I had to learn how to say no.
Yeah, that's one of the 7 habits of highly effective people that I'm severely lacking. I am a yes
even
person.
to myself. Like I said, I have chimera that I could be writing instead of sleeping. I have a one of the titles, and I don't think anybody's going to steal this idea. But have you ever seen the movie? It's kind of B-esque horror. Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yes. That's an oldie.
So yeah, I have been creating in my mind a very much the same kind of comedic horror flair in a comic book format.
Cool.
But it is paced so quick that because obviously in a movie you can build you can build suspense, you can build your scenes, and those all go into one another, but then those create humor.
Right.
It is very difficult to do that in a comic format. So I have been, let's say it's harder to do it in a comic format because you have to be the artist has to be able to create the eye draw that leads you into motion.
Yeah, in that case, you have to make sure that the artist knows what you're going for.
Yes,
exactly. And is a fan of the same thing, like Evil Dead or something like that.
Yep, exactly. And I don't have, I just don't, I love thinking about it, and I write down little notes about how people would, oh, you're going to die like this. Like just all the crazy ways. And it's about a guy whose superpower is the fact that he can't die because around him, everybody else becomes super unlucky. So it's almost like a reverse domino.
Yeah, right.
So he's not lucky. It's just that his persona...
They're unlucky.
Yes. So the people that are trying to take him out end up getting killed in all sorts of these weird, crazy ways. He'll duck and something will fly over his head and it'll kill the other guy behind him. And like he doesn't know, almost like a doofus.
Yeah.
But I'm sorting it out almost like some of the old detectives that were very not great detectives. They just kind of fell into everything, but at the end you find out that they're amazing detectives. But like Pink Panther is very much that way.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah.
It's very much that style, and I haven't seen anybody really do it. So I'm
it sounds like a lot of fun.
The problem is finding time. And
what it is? Is that time is different. For one thing, time is different between the reader and the creator. Time moves very fast for us, whereas for them it moves slow. So we can't worry about something like that. And then the second thing is, if you're anything like me, it's going to come out as one big sneeze. And the more hard you are on yourself and the more you think about, I don't have time, the more you won't have time. So you just ease up on yourself and then keep making your notes. And just one day you're going to be like, I'm doing it right now. But you can't think about the time. Or you have to reverse it and sort of induce law of attraction and say, I'm so grateful I have, I never run out of time. I have all the freedom in the world. Everything is always working out for me. And if you just sort of embed that in your mind and stop thinking about the time notion of it, because like I said, it's different between the reader and the creator. It really is. It's a totally different perception. Then you'll find that you have the time.
Yep. Well, I've been asked to jump in and try voiceovers now as well.
Oh, cool. You do have a very good voice, especially for radio.
Yeah,
I can't see your face.
I have a face for radio. It's fine. It's okay. I learned to live with it. It's okay. But again, that's another thing that could be great. But I think the one thing that I always maintain, that I want to maintain, and it is somewhat not troublesome, but it is maintaining family time. Like that is pure, that cannot be touched.
Sure, temperance is a virtue that's very hard to exercise, but I think it all comes down to just, if anything, like a dry erase calendar. Like this is family time. Like I'm not doing anything between this time and this time. Time is dedicated to my family. But I know how that can change at the drop of a hat too. trust me, I'm one to talk. So
yeah, for sure. It's just one of those things when you're creative and you want to let that outlet go, and you get, at least with me, my head doesn't stop spinning. Like I always have something going on in my brain, so much so that even sleeping is difficult. That you're probably the same way, that you get an idea or something hits you just right, and you're like, well, I got to get it on paper, and then an hour and a half later, you're like, well, shit.
Right.
So much for getting 6 hours of sleep tonight. Now it's down to 4.5, and then it's going to take you another. Then you start thinking about it, and that'll take you another 45 to get out of your mind. And then it's 3 hours, and your next day's jacked, and you're like, 3 cups of coffee later.
Right.
Not that any of us have ever gone through this or anything.
No, I used to go to bed super early, and I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and write because I was delirious, and it was my best work because it was before any anxiety had a chance to clutter my mind, before the cortisol levels spike, around 6:37. There was none of that. It was just me, stupid zombie at the computer, and I'm like, wow, this is great. And that's how I wrote NORAH.
Oh, wow.
So if anybody doesn't like NORAH, that's why. It was written by a zombie.
Well, I think everybody that's watching this has to go read NORAH. I already dropped the link. If you're on YouTube, the links are below. Go read NORAH. We'll have SEERES on this week. But if you're on YouTube right now watching this, all of the content has already been updated on Spinwiz. So just check the link below. Everybody else that's watching live, it'll be up on Tuesday because my partner already has all the content, and he just has to load it. So, and that takes some time through a queue. But, well, listen, you have broken the hour mark.
Woo.
The only person that has ever been on longer, I guess 2 people, are Travis and Frank.
They were on longer?
Well, Frank and I, we were BSing about hockey, going back and forth, and the fact that Carolina Hurricanes.
More airtime than me? And
yeah. By like 2 minutes.
I ain't about that.
I mean, but Dirk Manning is coming up next week or in 2 weeks.
Oh God, you'll be there for 2 days.
I've heard that. I got Greg. Greg was off in just over an hour also, so you might have beaten Greg. But I've heard that Dirk, I really need like a window. Even Dirk told me that.
You need to block out your week.
Yeah, Dirk, and I guess he has tons of stories as well, like just like David Hayes level like craziness.
And he will love to share them with you.
Yeah, I know. He's already warned me. We had Kaylin on last week, and she's like, "What?" Because Dirk was in our chat, and he came out and said, "Yeah, you block some time for me."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay." Something to look forward to next week, I guess. So, listen, it was awesome having you. Anything else you want to talk about before we jet? Or just so everybody knows, we are planning with SourcePoint Press, a SourcePoint Press this. So it'll be like between probably at least 4 SourcePoint Press people and myself, but it could be up to like 15 or 16 SourcePoint Press people.
Now, are you offering the Volume 1 trade through Spinwiz? Is that what's happening?
We will have Volume 1 trade. Yep.
Okay, so if you have to read Volume 1 of NORAH in order to understand Volume 2, in Volume 2 you can add those issues to your pull list right now. So if you don't wind up getting it through Spinwiz, which I would implore you.
I understand.
Which I would implore you to do so. You can go to sourcepoint.press and order it. You can also order SEERES, which is my Viking Witch series. You can also pick up a snazzy NORAH t-shirt in the same place. And and support your local comic shops. Please, 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 please add us to your pull list. We really appreciate the support, guys. Thank you so much. And if you're interested in comic editing, it's $75 for a comic script under 25 pages, includes proofreading, content editing, and even a final look at letters, $75. So reach out to me at Red Pen Media on Facebook. And you can find me everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on Medium now as well, if you want to read some of my articles about comics and stoicism.
And that's it. I mean, you can't really not find Kasey Pierce is really what it comes down to.
Right. I'm haunting.
Yeah.
If you hear that crunching sound in the night, you know it's me. Me and my trail mix.
Or David Hayes got into your pantry and is eating some chips and stuff like that.
He said he shot me a message immediately. He's like, I want some beef jerky. I want it in this jerky. I'm like, dude, slow down.
I'm ready. I'll eat it. Doesn't bother me. I want to get healthier anyway. Beef jerky and trail mix, do it. So thank you so much for being here. It was awesome getting to know you. More, we'll have you and hopefully the Source Point Press crew on in the upcoming weeks, that'll just be insane. I don't know how I'm going to mediate that thing. With as many personalities in Source Point Press, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I'm going to have a mute button or something, but
it's going to be so good.
It'll be insane. So
my family.
Hang out with me just one moment so I can say goodbye to everybody, and then I'll come back to you. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Whoa, wait a minute. Casey will catch everyone outside. There you go. I'll be right back. Everybody hang on me just 1 second. Casey, you hang on the line. Give me 1 minute. And that was it. So Kasey Pierce, everybody, obviously well-versed in way more than I thought any human could possibly know. I mean, it's like being a rogue scholar, but the crunchy version. And I think that's great. That's awesome. So thank you all for being here. Remember, come on back on Wednesday and we'll have somebody else here. I can't remember who that is right now, but I'm sure it's somebody amazing. Make sure you check in. We're here every Wednesday and Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to always try to have somebody amazing on. Thank you for Kasey Pierce for your time tonight. It was great having you here. I hope everybody enjoyed it. This will be on YouTube in a week. If you're watching on YouTube, it's on now. Go watch all the other ones. And again, go read the content. If you like it, support it. Buy the PDF. Go to Source Point Press. Buy the print, or hopefully print on demand here soon for us. Check out our app. Download it, and then go and just make sure you're reading all of NORAH, and then SEERES will be on later this week. And then if you can't buy it because COVID has thrown you out, talk about it. Go tell your friends about it. Because one of the best things you can do if you can't support that way doesn't mean you can't support. Go tell your friends, put it on Twitter, link it, put it on your Facebooks or Instagrams or whatever your kids are using now, and help all these guys out, because really they do it because they love it, and let's help them make money doing something they love. So thank you all very much for being here. I greatly appreciate it. We will see you on Wednesday. Have a great day. Later.